What the issue is. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now, dear? I didn't switch my microphone over to the controller. I should be able. Okay, there we go. I think I fixed it. The microphone was muted. Can you hear me now, Melissa? Uh, I guess all of my previous discussion was pretty much muted, so I fixed it. I thought I fixed it. Oh, this is so frustrating. Can you hear me? How about how about now? All right. So I'm not sure if this is working or not. So I'm not sure if this is working. Okay, it is working now. I'm not sure if this is working. Okay, it is working now. All right, let's see. I'm not sure if this is working. Okay, it is working. All right, let's see. I'm not sure if this is working. Okay, it is working. Let's see. Bear with me, I'm trying to test this more. Bear with me, I'm trying to test this more. All right, I think I got it sorted now. I don't know what the deal was, but for whatever reason, it was just being very stingy, very difficult. I think I got it sorted now. I don't know what the deal was, but for whatever reason, it was just being very. So apparently, you guys were not hearing me for the better part of the stream. So, but thank you very much for tuning in. I'm glad I got that solved now. So once you go ahead and get things in order, now I got things in order. So as I was saying before, the circus came to town. Bear with me, my camera is also missing, so I got to figure that out. I don't know where my camera went. What the hell? All right, I'm thinking probably this was probably not a good time to stream because I'm a little bit discombobulated now. So bear with me. All right, there. I got my camera back, thank God. I apologize. I'm very kind of frazzled tonight, and unfortunately, my brain is not really 100% cooperative right now. I usually don't have this much difficulty with my brain function, but it seems that it's not the case. Um, where was I? My initial playthrough was kind of a bit draggy with the camera and then finally following the mic. So I'm just testing everything now, and it seems like everything's good. Um, But basically, what I was getting at was I was showing the strategy of the lead up to that point, and obviously you could see that pretty much was the case of the Leech Man surprising me. I was kind of hoping not to get grabbed by him, but unfortunately that happened, so we're just going to keep pressing forward. I'm sorry for the audio delay. I did not realize the audio was out, and I will work better about testing that in the future before getting really into the stream. So, but in that case, we'll just crack on and carry on. So, upon entering this little break room kind of area, you're going to have a few zombies. We're going to dispatch them quickly. Ooh, headshot. Down he goes. On the wall to your left, you're going to find a map of the treatment plant, comprised of the multiple levels, top to bottom. On the table here, you'll also find some bottles. One in particular is a empty bottle, so we can actually go about the process of making ourselves some more Molotovs. Matter of fact, I think that's what we will do. We'll go back and get those other Molotovs, mix them, and then have an extra set of Molotovs to our availability. Now, as I said before, the circus came to town with the audio. I was pretty much trying to engage with the leech man. He will approach you aggressively at that point, and you can actually dispatch him. The most important thing to take into account is the fact that it is basically a little tricky because sometimes his animation can really kind of throw you off. In some instances, he will be very aggressive, and in other instances, he will not be aggressive at all. So I was hoping he would slap me or try to slap me, but unfortunately, he ended up grabbing me not once but twice, and I ended up having to use my first aid spray. So, on this unfortunate circumstance, but one that was unavoidable. But once you backtrack to the control room and you have the two bottles in your possession, you'll be able to go about the process of doing the oil canister. But in order to grab it, we need to put something down. So, we're going to go ahead and put our ammo down just for a second. Pick up our oil gas can, mix it, and then we have a complete set of 6 Molotovs on top of the existing 3. So go ahead now and pick up the first aids, the ammo, excuse me. And then for an added benefit, you can actually go down and get that green and red herb mixed, and you'll have a added bonus of extra ammo. So once we get to this point, we'll grab our green herb, and we'll grab our red herb and mix them as well. And that pretty much will be a combine of this sort, and then we'll go from there. Once we have the mixed herb, we'll proceed forward as well. And head back the way we came. Head back through the bar area, which was the break room kind of thing. As you can see, there's nothing else really worth grabbing, so we're just going to head down the stairs from the break room. So right away, off the bat, you'll have some sort of a quarry area, which is pretty much like rudimentary in this regard. So right away off the bat, as soon as you come around this corner, you'll find a forklift. Now we need to get to the top of that forklift. As you can see, there's something sparkling up there. It's a key that's relevant to the finishing of the game. But in order to get the forklift operating, we need to find another battery, much like how we did outside the training facility with the elevator. We need to find a battery. Over here, there is also another green and red herb. We will leave that for now and return to collect that when we need to. Right now, our primary concern is to locate Billy. Now, right away in this room is another puzzle, which we will need help to solve with Billy's help to get that valve across the way. We are not strong enough to push the crates. Only Billy is strong enough, so we're going to need to make a trip back here for Billy, with Billy, particularly. Also note the shotgun shells inside the small cabinet down below. Instead, proceed through the door and into the next passage, which will take you down a series of stairs. Note the leeches on the ground, which will squish under your foot. Disgustingly satisfying. And then into the reservoir. And we will have found Billy.
Rebecca, where am I?
You're safe now. Are you okay?
And then we will get a cutscene in the form of all the experiments by Marcus.
They must have been used as test subjects in Marcus's research. He must have kept messing around with the mother virus.
Billy?
Giving him flashbacks to the jungle. Now, once we pretty much have Billy back in our good company once more, we can pretty much go about the measure of doing the necessities of what we initially were trying to do. So right away, we're going to take over as Rebecca, but we're going to continue forward with our next measure. So we could go through that door, but we're actually going to go through to the door over here, which will lead us to a safe room. Or not. It seems to be locked from the side. So we're going to head out the way we came and get back to the business of actually locating those other resources we need. Notably, the uh, um, rotating table of the door handle, excuse me, the valve for the door handle. It is actually a door handle. That's what the valve is, basically. So once you head back up the stairs, head back to the main room, and you will take control of Billy now. Head over and grab those shotgun shells for safekeeping in the event you need them. Also, take the liberty of actually exchanging the mixed herb. Well, actually, no. In fact, what we're going to do is we're not going to change anything because Billy doesn't really need a healing item. So we're going to go about and
I'll go.
split up with Rebecca. And we're going to put her in charge of the console. And Billy will be the one who will take the lead of this next process because he is the one who has the strength to push those giant crates down there. So once you take control of Billy, head down the ladder and then proceed along this course of solving this puzzle. Now, this puzzle can be a little tricky for the people who are not very familiar with it, but the idea is basically we have to make a path using these crates. And how we do that is we're going to have to push these crates into a certain format. In order to move those crates, we need to first get them into a position where they can be used, and then proceed to turn the gate so that we can actually push them into a proper alignment. So, matter of fact, before we even get into that, we're going to want to drop something because we're going to have to go over there and grab that valve. And unfortunately, they all have items up to the ass in terms of supply. So we're going to leave the herbs behind on the ground. And now we're going to go back down. I should have thought about that before I went down there the first time. So switch to Rebecca, and we're not going to fill the water. We are going to rotate the gate. Switching back to Billy, we're going to go ahead and push that one crate over. First, we're going to get up and over this crate. And we're going to push that crate in and over as far as we can. Once we have, go ahead and mount the crate and then dismount on the other side, pushing the metal crate all the way to the opposite corner. Once that has been moved, climb back up and then climb back down. And then what we're going to do is move this crate further down. And we don't want to push it all the way because we're going to need to get behind it. So we're going to get back up on top and we're going to get down on the other side inside this little alcove. Turn around. And then once you're back in the position of Rebecca, turn the gate again. I do not know if we turn it right or left. Okay, we got to turn it left, not right. As you can see, trying to turn it right will trap it in its current position, so we're going to need to turn it left. Once we have pushed the grate into its proper position, we're going to go ahead and push the crate further down until it's smack against the other one. Then push it back into the wall. That's stage 2 done. Now, once we have pretty much done that, we're going to move the grate again. I'm not going to switch to Billy right away. I'm actually going to move him further along the path. Now I will switch to him because now he's already there. You got to get in the habit of using your right stick in certain instances. I don't really do it very often, but I should. I'm actually out of practice. Normally, I would use the right stick to move my second characters around, the partner character, if you will. So, but in this particular instance, it's a habit I need to relearn. But once you position the crate to its proper alignment here, you're going to push it all the way down until it lines up perfectly with the 3 crates. Once that is done, take Billy and get him out of the drain and get him out of the reservoir. Take him over by the position of where the water will fill the grate and ultimately raise the crates into position so he can cross. Now that the water is filled, Billy can cross the grate, the channel area, and grab the valve that he needs.
Follow me.
Okay.
So Billy will regroup and follow you now with Rebecca. And then you will proceed back the way you came. Now, you could actually screw around and hang around here if you want to, but there's actually an enemy that we'll encounter that is actually the Leaper, I believe it's called. I'm not sure, but it is basically a giant toad. So now that we pretty much have made our way up and into this break room kind of area, we're going to head out the door here. Oh. Oh, we were almost ambushed by zombies. Trying to make sure. So once we pretty much have dispatched the zombies, we can go ahead and get that grate from Billy. We're actually going to take that off him and use it with Rebecca. Once we've installed the handle on the door, we can actually open the door now. On entering the room, we will have several multitudes of enemies. I really don't want Billy to waste his shots. Not quite just yet, but I am going to go over here and dispatch this zombie, which is playing possum here on the ground. Considering Rebecca has a lot of handgun ammo, it wouldn't be that far off the measure to actually burn some, because you got a little bit of handgun ammo still to pick up in some certain areas. So I want to save as much of Billy's shotgun as possible, because in the event when we do go to the final boss, we will have the emphasis of needing those resources, much to our delight. So we are going to go ahead and give these Molotovs to Rebecca, because we're basically going to be going up and probably dealing with another threat. But we're going to head upstairs now on the ladder before proceeding along the path further. Definitely did not really want to take the risk of losing any. At this point, there's really not much in the way of leechmen you think you need. I think you need to contend with, so you could pretty much go carte blanche with your Molotovs if you just want to get rid of them. Well, we don't want the stripping agent. We don't want the stripping agent. What are you doing, dude? Alright, so we gotta get rid of that stripping agent. We don't need to, Kinda was hoping not to have to... What is this? Oh, these are the various costumes from the classic Resident Evil. I didn't even realize how to switch this. So, as you can see, there's a lot of unique costume looks that you can actually have. So, but that's basically what that is. I was wondering how to switch that. I couldn't remember how to switch it. So, but now I know. So, hey, I guess you learned something new, eh? So, obviously, we can't really get it right now. But over here on the ground by this dead zombie, we're gonna find a file. Investigators report 2. We should have finished with this dump long ago when this all started. Did anyone expect that there would be guns blazing away like this? We weren't told a thing about these creatures attacking us at the briefing. Guess they were a surprise to the head honchos, too. Things in the woods just starting to attack people. That had to be planned. Somebody deliberately scattered that virus, no doubt about it. But the guards, our fellow soldiers, they must be still around. Well, whatever. Don't have to worry about that anymore. What I've got to worry about is whether to use my last bullet on myself or on a friend. That's the only decision I have to make. You find a lot of somber files of this nature, and it's kind of sad, but not unexpected. So we're going to go ahead and just give this medicine to Billy, because we got 2 new ones right here we can use. I would definitely want to grab these, because I'm not going to be coming back here again. Resources, especially when it comes to health, is definitely a necessity in this regard. So you definitely want to just grab it for the sake of grabbing it. So once you've grabbed the file and the green herbs, go ahead and head down the ladder and proceed into the next area. I also want to take the time to thank everyone who I know personally who has checked in on me. I'm doing okay. I just had a really bad night and an equally bad day today. I'd rather not go into discussion about the nature of today, but it is relevant to the fact that my situation is rather personable. But it does come from a good place to know that I actually have good people in my corner. So I do appreciate it. As soon as you enter the hallway, you'll have the 2 hunters, obviously, which we have taken care of. So we're going to go about the measure of heading into our next save room, which is a relatively important point. So we're going to head into there next. And with that, we actually have found our next save room. Now, Billy has the flame rounds, so we're going to go over here and grab these flame rounds right here on the ground. These will add to the collective of current flame rounds we have. And over here as well, on the bed, we will find a ink ribbon. But we're going to see about leaving. First things first, we're going to leave a few things here. So we're going to leave right here at this point. We're going to leave our grenade, our healing item. And Billy will also leave his magnum ammo and the flame rounds and the healing item. This is pretty much setting up to be our next big base of operations. So this is pretty much where we're going to put most of our resources at this present moment in time for the future. And trying to grab this first aid spray, it's really weird because it's right in front of me, but for whatever reason, it's just not very much cooperating with letting me grab it. So, Becca pretty much can pick up these green and red herbs now and mix them. I don't want to grab the flame rounds. I want to grab the green herb. So once you have that, go ahead and mix it. And then we're going to go ahead and put that down as well. Definitely going to get in the habit of using up these Molotovs if we can. because these will be very important. But for the right now, what we're going to do is grab the ink ribbon and save our game. Once we have saved the game, go ahead and drop it. Drop the ink ribbons where you can see them. It's very hard to see the items on the ground in question at certain points, so you just want to try to drop them in plain sight, so that way you know where to pick them up later on. So, but with that said, we're going to head through this door. I think I forgot the file. We'll grab that when we come back through. Inside this area, we will find that there's another lab, kind of another lab section with more leeches laying around to be squished. Once at the bottom of the stairs, head through the door. Head along the catwalk and then through this door and the other end. So right away we'll have zombies in our possession. I definitely want to With that being said, we've dispatched the zombies using the Molotovs. And at the far end over here, we will find an elevator leading down. So we're going to go ahead and take that elevator down. And it'll be Billy with us this time. So once we pretty much have made it to this point, we're going to have ourselves at the ready because we're going to have another encounter with a very familiar boss. Have your grenade gun ready, preferably with at least a couple shells in it if you haven't used them all up to this point. And proceed past the door and around the bend. And we will have a second encounter with the Tyrant. Jesus, get that man some Dr. Scholl's. Now, needless to say, this will be a bit different because Billy will be at our side, but ultimately we will also be at risk of that happening. I guess he's feeling somewhat kind of salty about the fact that I beat his ass with Rebecca the first time, so right away we're gonna just go ahead and dispatch him as fast as we can. Alright, Billy isn't hurt, so we're going to immediately switch to our... Immediately just get to work on taking him down. Hopefully we won't die. Thankfully, we did drop the Tyrant. I really did not expect... I thought for sure... I gotta get back into practice, because I actually normally wouldn't make that mistake. My plan was to basically have Billy run away from the scene and sort of divide the Tyrant's attention, and then when he went to lunge for Rebecca with his jump attack, I thought I would be able to get clear in time. But unfortunately, that did not happen. So, but you know what? I didn't expect it, and it happened. So, we're going to actually hand off the grenade gun to Billy now, and we're going to take little Rebecca solo. Actually, we're going to leave Billy here. Because I actually have outside this door, there's actually some herbs we can use because she's hurt. So we'll grab those herbs. But as you can see, right away, as soon as we go to get to this point, we can see that the path leading forward is actually washed out. So we're going to need to see about measuring to getting that water alleviated. So we pretty much have healed Rebecca now, and basically we will get the measure of actually getting that emphasis of getting ourselves up there. So in order to get through there, we're going to need to divert some of the water. So we're going to work on that next. Billy will be in here with the dead tyrant now, and we will leave him to sort of watch it, and we will head up this ladder after we press the button to lower it. Now, once we are up here, we're going to head forward, and directly over here on the ground, we will find a motherboard that we will need. As soon as we can pick it up. There we go. Now, once you have the motherboard, proceed around to the left, and you will probably be able to find some herbs as well. I hope. If not, then no big deal. Down below, we can see Billy with the tyrant. So we don't have any herbs up here, so that's okay. So once we have the motherboard, regroup with Billy.
Come on!
Okay.
And he will follow you. Get back on the elevator and head up, back up to where we saw that gondola. Now, the important thing to take into account here is that only one of you can go. In this particular instance, I'm going to send Rebecca. So we're going to have to install the motherboard first on the gondola, which will take us across the chasm where we need to go. Before you board that gondola, however, though, we're going to take that grenade gun back because there is actually a grenade launcher acid rounds that we can pick up. So right away, we're going to get on sword with the gondola and board it, and Billy will be staying behind. So we will be separated again, and we will have to reacquire one another. So pretty much right away, you'll see that you are in a sort of control room, and this basically is the control lever for the floodgate to the dam. This will enable us to lift the flood waters enough to where Billy can cross that path that we left behind before. Or we could go with Rebecca to Billy. It really doesn't really make a difference. But before we proceed along that path to regroup with Billy, over here on the ground, grab the acid shells because these will be rather important for the next stage of your fight. Because we have a few roaches to kill. And roaches, as well as hunters, are very susceptible to acid shells, so if you're looking for an easy way to kill roaches or hunters, acid shells are the way you want to do it. Explosive shells are good, napalm is even better, but acid shells are usually the number one, because they are so susceptible to them. So right away, as soon as you enter the room, you're going to be attacked by some roaches. If you can get a few shots, great. They usually go down pretty easy with the handgun. So right away, we've already dispatched them. And then over here, we will also have more acid shells, which will be prevalent to our needs. So go ahead and combine them with the grenade launcher. And then over here, we will have a blue chemical. So go ahead and put the blue chemical inside. And we have sulfuric acid. So once we have the sulfuric acid, we will have the industrial water. Combine the industrial water with the sulfuric acid, and you will have battery fluid, which is relevant to our next point of getting our task completed. Unlocking the door here will enable us to go back the way we came, but we're going to go ahead and pretty much we're going to just pretty much regroup with Billy. In fact, you know what? We're going to go back. We're going to go down the elevator. We're going to have to take the long way around, but this is the easiest way to get back to Rebecca. As you recall, the path was opened once Rebecca lifted the floodgate and reduced the water levels to cross the dam, especially over that walkway, which we will now be able to do. So upon entering out here, we are going to encounter a toad when we go to cross this bridge. Toads are not terribly dangerous, but they can kill you pretty fast. They swallow you whole. So after a few hits, if you're in caution level or below, like serious caution, they will try to devour you whole. So they will literally whip out their tongue and start pulling you into their mouth and try to swallow you. And basically that is something that everybody does not want to have happen. As you can hear, there are zombies here, but we're not going to go deal with them. Instead, we're going to grab the handgun ammo, and we're going to head through this door, which is unlocked now from the other side, thanks to Billy. And we're going to head into the next area. And down here is where we will encounter 2 roaches, and up above us is where we will find the battery, which now we will switch back to Rebecca and rejoin Billy, who is waiting for us at the bottom of these stairs. So have Billy give Rebecca a boost to get the battery off the top of this shelf. Without Billy's help, it would be impossible. Once you have it, use the use feature and combine the battery with the battery acid. And then you will be able to proceed with the next stage of the fight. We have 2 roaches, which we are going to deal with our acid shells. So immediately equip them. Equip the grenade launcher. And that will be a wrap for him. Now,
okay.
Once you've dispatched the enemies, head back up the stairs. We're going to head back through the door at the upper level, which we unlocked. With the battery now, we can retrace our steps back to the forklift and gain access to our item that we so need. But
I'll go.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. No.
Come on.
We want to keep them together, but we are going to check our map real quick just to get our bearings of our resources. So right now we don't have anything here, but we do have a mixture over there. So we're going to go ahead up there and grab that. I am definitely needing a shower. I feel like an absolute scrub. Now, upon entering this room, we will obviously have the battery, but we will also be able to grab this first aid item that we see here, which is relevant. Now, pay no mind to the green and red herb. We will actually be transferring that over to Billy, and we'll go ahead and grab that next mixed herb right there as well. Now we are going to give the battery actually to Billy because he's going to need to put the battery in, while Rebecca basically will be standing on top of the crate. So have Rebecca step up on the crate.
I'll go.
Okay.
And have her facing, which will enable her to grab it. Make sure she has nothing in her inventory, because if she does have something in her inventory, she will not be able to grab the key card, which is what it was reading at the top. With Billy, put the battery in the forklift, which will activate it. Once it's on, turn it on. Rebecca will get the key card. And we will now be well and truly on our way to finishing the game. But before we can do that, we have to make a quick little detour and a pit stop.
Let's split up.
Roger.
This
Come on,
way.
Rebecca.
Okay.
Are you coming or not? So head up the stairs. We're going to need to go back to the cable car and get that Magnum.
I'll go alone.
Roger.
Definitely might want to switch Rebecca's weapon. We'll put Billy on idle because I don't want to waste the resources of his ammo. We definitely need as much ammo as we could possibly get, so. So once we dispatch the zombies, we're going to head out of this area.
Let's go.
Okay.
And get Billy's attention to come with us. Now, upon leaving this into this hallway, we will have leeches around us. Oh no, we won't have leeches. Okay, we're good. Never mind. Disregard my previous statement. What we are going to do, though, is head back to the elevator and the control room when Rebecca arrived inside the treatment plant. Proceed back the way you came. We're going to need to do some backtracking to get that Magnum because we actually didn't really have the means of having it before because we didn't have the space in our inventory, and Billy is the one who's going to ultimately use it. So we're going to go ahead and go back and get it. Head through the doors. And then back through the elevator leading upward. I'm not entirely sure if this is the right level. I think it's supposed to be level 3 or level 2. I'm just guessing right now. Oh, yep, definitely not this level. And we got zombies, so we are definitely not contending with that. So, I mean, if you're the type of player who just likes to revisit areas just to kill enemies, you could do that too. I mean, it's entirely up to you. I know a lot of people out there who are zombie slayers that love to just take down as many zombies as possible. There's even some that play the game on the easiest difficulty just so they can have tons of resources to just blow zombies away. So, I know I probably was one of those types once upon a time, like maybe 10 years ago. So, but right away, you'll find that there are Magnum ammo here, which we need to grab. So go ahead and grab that. And then also, oh. So we pretty much dispatched the zombies that were here. You know, it's weird because I've actually never had to come back this far to get anything, so it's kind of a bit bizarre for me, just a little bit, to start to get this cumbersome sense of like normalcy. So we really, really don't need a lot of resources at this point, so we're not going to bother grabbing the green and red herb. We're just gonna mainly focus on getting the Magnum because that is paramount to our continued play. So with Billy in hand, we're going to go ahead and board the cable car, ignore the green herbs as well. It's surprisingly how well you do if you play it reasonably and with a good sense of care. But if you play it on hard difficulty, which I imagine, I think I will, I won't stream it, but I will probably play this game on hard just for the sake of enjoyment. Grab the Magnum, and this is going to be our workhorse. This is going to be the baby girl of all weapons that will get us through the next fight because we got a doozy of one ahead of us. So with that being said, we have what we need. We're going to backpedal and head back to the treatment plant now. So immediately just leg it. Don't even worry about taking your time with it. Normally I would like to take my time, but I think we're pretty much can say for certain that we're pretty much well and truly beyond uh, the uh, the cusp of finishing this game. So with this in our hands, we're going to go ahead and take on to level 4 of the elevator, which will take us back to the treatment plant. Bypass the control room and then proceed down the elevator.
Let's split up.
Okay.
Let's regroup.
I
Okay.
don't know why I keep pressing that. It's just a conscious thing that I'm like totally doing wrong. So yeah, but the important thing is that we go through here and get to our save point to get our resources we need. Now there will be 2 zombies in the following corridor where we fought those 2 hunters, so be ready for them. Oh shit! I forgot to turn Billy's idle on. I didn't think about that. That was on me.
Ow! Ow!
Good lord, why is her idle off? I didn't turn her idle off. I turned his off, unless I didn't turn his back on. I got them both on idle. Oh my god. What a noob. That's bad. I fucked up there. Alright, anyway. I should have checked that. Next time I'm gonna check their statuses, make sure they're ready for a fight. Anyway, let's get on with it. We got to grab our magnum ammo. We've got to grab our flame shells. We've got to grab a healing item now because Rebecca used hers. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Matter of fact, we'll just give her ours. Billy really won't really need one to say, but for the sake of that, we will definitely just have that available. Alright, so we have the file here on the table, on the bed, so we're going to go ahead and grab that, if we can grab it. It's so weird with this camera. They're facing it, and he's not picking it up. Alright, there we go. About battery fluid. Okay, so this is just a file based on the battery fluid we got, so there's really nothing of relevancy there. we're going to go ahead and exchange the key card for the flame shells for Rebecca. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We really won't need the healing item, so we're just going to leave that where it is. We will let Rebecca take lead, though, because we will have to deal with some zombies. In fact, I think we're actually going to have to take a detour back. I think we're going to have to take a detour back because I think we actually left the elevator at the bottom level. Maybe we didn't. I'm not sure. We'll find out in a second. So head through the door. We do want to be ready for the event of possibly a leech man appearing here, because depending on the playthrough and in which direction you go, he usually will appear. Okay, no leech man, so that's a good thing. I believe it's if we go back the opposite way. Is the elevator? Yep, the elevator. We're gonna have to double back, so we're gonna have to fight a leech man. So I made a mistake. So, but if you basically take the elevator down, it will stay down there. There's no way to call it back up. So take that into account when you're doing your playstyle in the event that you do end up trapping yourself, because you will have to take an extra long way around to get to the necessary destination you need to be at. So we're going to have to double back and make our way back the opposite way to account for that. So, but it's okay. Not too far away from us, but it's just a lot of extra steps to take into account. So we're back at the save room now, so we're going to head just right on through. Ignore the ink ribbons. We don't need to save our game because this next segment should be pretty easy. Head through the corridor and out the door. And just make sure we are still on the track here. Head through the valve door that we opened up earlier, and we're going to continue back to the forklift, is where we're going to want to go. I think perhaps in the future, maybe if I feel brazen enough, I will do a hard playthrough of this game, potentially. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see where that gets us. So head on through the door once you get to the bottom of the stairs. And then proceed through this door into the area where we actually found Billy. At the bottom of the stairs, through this door at the reservoir. This is where we found Billy. And then instead of going left, we're going to go right. And then head on through the biohazard door, which will lead us into that incubation lab. And then to the bottom of the stairs. I do believe we should not have any more threats besides those zombies in that corridor, which we bypassed with Billy at that time. So we're going to go ahead and switch to our sidearm because we don't want to waste precious grenade shell ammo. I mean, we could use it because we got tons of it, but we don't want to really do that. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with this part. Fucking shit. What an asshole. Ay, ay, ay. Billy will have some shotgun shells here on the ground he can grab. And then we will proceed forward and access this magnetic card key reader, and we will open up the door. And this will take us to the purification room. We don't really need the card key anymore, so we could just go ahead and get rid of it. It served its purpose. But once you enter through this door, you will have a large causeway that you want to go running down, and this will be the way out and to our next major boss fight. Be mindful to grab the magnum ammo literally sitting on the ground directly to your right as soon as that. So right away you'll have about 25 total magnum rounds, as well as the 8 in the existing gun of the magnum. We're going to ultimately reload our shotgun, and we're going to equip Rebecca with the grenade gun. And right away, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to play as Rebecca, and we want to let Billy take the front of the assault because he's much more tougher than Rebecca, and I don't want to take too much damage with Rebecca with this next fight. So, and here we go.
Welcome, young one. So glad you have joined the party. You are the guests of honor. After all, it's your wake.
Who are you? Dr. Marcus?
No, you can't be. What's going on?
10 years ago, Spencer had me assassinated.
Time to die, Doctor.
I will take over your research.
Wesker, working. However, something wondrous happened. It took the T-virus inside of my queen years to procreate my new life.
I live. Now I will have my revenge on Umbrella, and the world will burn in an inferno of hate.
You'll pay for what you've done.
We'll see which one of us is gonna die.
Oh, that's just gross. Just saying. Let him go, you motherfucker. So right away, we're going to want to use up all our grenades that we just did there. Immediately swap out to the next grenade. And that's it. With him being put down, that'll be our job pretty much done in that regard, at least in that respect. Pretty much what we're going to want to do now is just take a quick gander around the boiler room quickly, because we want to grab any missing items. There should be some Magnum ammo somewhere, and there it is. I thought there was some Magnum ammo here. I'm glad it hasn't forgotten my memory. So right away, go ahead and grab that Magnum ammo, and that will probably bring us up to 30 rounds, 33 rounds total. That's like a whopping amount of ammo, and that's what we want. We're going to want that. We could go back and get more resources, but I'm feeling brave, and I'm not going to make that measure of a challenging trip. You could have very well ran away and lured him around the area, but it's just a lot of work and a lot of bullshit. So I would never see myself doing that unless I'm playing hard. Because I gotta turn around, then I gotta wait for my partner to turn around, and it's just basically a huge circus. So ultimately, we're just pretty much in that boat. So once you see the asshole dead, you want to go ahead and run over here to this consoles,
I'll check it out.
split them up, and immediately get them into a position where they're going to want to use a key. It's a dual key system. So Billy will put his key in, and then Rebecca is going to want to do the same. So immediately put the keys in and turn. So right away, inside this area, we will have a few resources we need to grab. Notably, we don't really need the handgun ammo, but it would be helpful. So we're going to grab that. We're going to go ahead and grab the green and red herb. Have Billy grab the shotgun ammo, not that he needs it. And also have him grab a first aid spray. Finally, the only other thing we're going to not grab probably is going to be we're actually going to leave something here. I'm not sure. I think we will go ahead and max our pistol ammo. We're going to leave the handgun ammo behind. We're in good position for ammo, and with the next section of this fight, we're not going to need any real means of fighting with Rebecca because she's going to be doing an entirely different job altogether. But we will give Billy an ammo, a healing item. And I think we'll leave the shotgun behind as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the ink ribbon. And we're going to save our game. And this will lead us into our next major boss battle and the climax of the game. So if there's anything you haven't found yet, or anything that you have to grab or need, depending on the difficulty you're playing, this is pretty much a good time to make good on that. The more important thing is that in this next sectional piece, it's going to be probably a couple seconds of a fight with Rebecca and Billy working to kill the monster, but the next stage of it is going to be the fact that Billy will be the one pulling the wagon, and Rebecca will need to be protected. So you will need to basically give her a few healing items in the event she gets fucked up, because she's so fragile. But ultimately, give Billy the measure of just a little bit of protection himself. Hence the few healing items. In fact, you know what? I think ultimately that would probably be the perfect measure. So, I mean, ultimately, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and drop the ink ribbon and give Rebecca the first aid spray because Billy is not really going to need it. And I think with Billy, we'll go ahead and grab those shotgun shells just to be safe. Just to be safe. We won't need the grenade ammo. We won't need the handgun ammo. So we're just going to go ahead and get on board this platform and get us out of Dodge. So use the lift and head topside.
What?
It's the Queen!
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat,
Who activated the self-destruct system?
Come on, can't this thing move any faster? Shit!
Now, the important thing here is that we have to get out of as much distance between us as possible.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat.
Oy. So right away, it's important to take into account the injury of the
Personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat. The self-destruct system has been activated.
that is it for this first section.
Billy, can't handle sunlight. We need to open the windows.
Follow me! You work on the windows.
Got it.
I'll use my charm to distract Her Majesty.
Gate operation man. To open the heliport in case of emergency, follow the procedure below. Removing the lock, southwest side, northwest side, northeast side, southeast side, and west side. So basically what we have to do now is buy Rebecca time to open up the windows, which we can do. And this is where the Magnum comes in handy, because this will hurt like a bitch.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat.
Come get me, asshole.
System has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat.
So there's gate 2,
The
lock 2.
self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate
Come on.
immediately.
Chase me, asshole. This is basically what you want to do. You want to get his attention, you want to lead her away from Rebecca.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat.
And that's it. With the fourth block, the sunroof will open, and ultimately we'll be able to
The self-destruct system
finish the game.
activated.
So,
Billy!
Hey, Queenie! Feast on this!
44 Magnum with hollow points, and blam.
Rebecca, hurry!
Incredible. He actually got the handcuffs off finally. They're not hanging from his wrist anymore.
Hey, that must be the old mansion that Enrico was talking about. I guess it's time to say goodbye. Officially, Lieutenant Billy Cohen is dead.
Yeah, I'm just a zombie now.
Now, there's a lot of things that we take into account here with this, so number one is the dog tags that we see Rebecca wearing, because that was always a very confusing factor and detail within the Resident Evil
Thank you,
lore. Because she didn't serve in the
Rebecca.
military, but she has dog tags. Well, now we have an understanding of why those dog tags were in her possession. That was number one. Number two is the signature salute she does every time in her previous game installments. Then here we have a little allure of hint of what's to come with the events of Resident Evil 1, the remake. So, all in all, Resident Evil Zero is the precursor of the events that led into the beginnings of the very first Resident Evil game. But it is an undisclosed kind of subchapter or prelude, if you will. So it definitely has its merits in that capacity. So it does have its merits in that reason. I think ultimately it was pretty much overall a really good setup and a really good build up point. And it definitely laid out a lot of questions and put forth a lot of details that were otherwise excluded to really a lot of those relevant questions a lot of fans in the Resident Evil universe had in terms of the events that what really happened with Resident Evil 1. So Resident Evil Zero really was definitely something of a different kind of appeal. But the thing I think that drew me to it was the fact that it was different. It was different in the sense that, when we played Resident Evil 1, the remake, it was pretty much, it was step for step verbatim exactly like the classic from 1996. But the other adage is the fact that it really kind of emphasized and implemented a lot of other features that we did not have before, most notably different environments, alternative puzzles, various types of enemies, most notably the Crimson Heads, which you may have noticed, I'm sure, that the Crimson Heads from the zombies of Resident Evil 1 were not present in Resident Evil 0. Um, I have mixed feelings about that because I think the Crimson Head should have been present, but at the same time, I think Resident Evil 0 was a more slower kind of paced game, um, but at the same time, not without its merits in terms of challenge and emphasis in terms of study and just a different kind of style of game. I think the only thing I have a bit of a pickle about is the fact that two things. One thing is the fact that there is, I mean, they did implement a bit of difference, sort of, the pros and cons of the respective characters. So in Rebecca's case, very fragile, but good with medicine. Billy, very tough, but not good with medicine. So, and I think that's really the only thing. And then, of course, obviously the differences, pros and cons of the female and male sexes. Billy is bigger, he's tougher, he can move shit a lot easier. Rebecca is more, analytical and perhaps a little bit kind of underwhelming. But the fact is it really kind of gave her a measure of opportunity to shine on her own accord, and that's number one. So I think I probably would have implemented grander implications, like Billy can only use these kinds of weapons, and Rebecca can only use those kinds of weapons. I mean, I wouldn't have given Rebecca the grenade gun, but the fact is, the shotgun. If you notice the animation, the shotgun animation, depending on who you're playing with, the shotgun animation with Rebecca is a lot slower because there's a lot of kick to it. But ironically, she doesn't have that issue with the grenade gun. She fires it. There's greater control. Billy has great control, but Rebecca is the only one I know who could use a double um, heavy duty weapon like a grenade gun or a shotgun and not have that huge kickback. The Magnum, yeah, she takes a huge step back every time she fires a Magnum. Hence why I gave the Magnum to Billy. Much like how Billy has a greater reach with the knife, but Rebecca has a very terrible reach with the knife. It makes her more vulnerable to being attacked. So Billy is more of a viable person to use a survival knife. Um, and then another side of that coin is the fact that, and that's basically my first issue. My second issue that I had with the game, in the past, was the fact that the two biggest, there wasn't a variety use of enemies. And when I say a variety use of enemies, I'm not speaking per se just on any particular enemy, but I mean, we did see a few roaches in certain sequences, but we didn't really see a lot of eliminators unless we went looking for them. We didn't see a lot of toads unless we went looking for them. And the toads didn't appear until the very tail end of the game. And as you can see, we only encountered them one time. But there are three separate occasions, or four, where we could encounter more toads, but we didn't get that chance. Um, and then the other adage is the fact of I don't know. I think it's just one of those instances where there wasn't a lot of variety in terms of enemies. We had spiders on two occasions. We had hunters on three occasions, maybe four. Roaches on a couple of occasions. Zombies on a majority. And toads probably was only on one, two occasions, give or take. And that's really all there was. So I think that was only probably one criticism I had because, when I want to challenge, especially when I'm contending with multiple enemies of varying degrees of toughness, lethality, and variety, I want to have that experience where I can enjoy the capacity of those threats in and around that scope. Um, but, you know, that's what we got. I think maybe if I played it in a harder difficulty, I could enjoy it more with that sense of urgency and pressure. There are things I did really fucking stupid and made stupid mistakes that ultimately I would normally have never have made because of strategy and my habit of practice with memorizing enemy locations, item locations, key item locations. But I think it's one of those instances where if you don't play a game for a very long period of time, you don't really get that emphasis and it starts to whittle away. You know, you get out of practice with a game and suddenly you just find yourself kind of making silly mistakes you normally wouldn't make otherwise. But I mean, that was a good game. I'm definitely glad I got to enjoy that again. I probably will make a habit of enjoying it more often. I know I got plenty of other Resident Evil games that I want to enjoy, and I do enjoy the newer ones like Resident Evil 4 Remake, Remake 2, Remake 3. But the fact is if you cannot appreciate the new games if you don't enjoy the classics. And while this game is, in a sense, a classic to Resident Evil lore, it is to me the epitome of a time and a style of game with the tank controls and the fixed camera angles. It really doesn't get tiresome. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually tempted to run it again and on a harder difficulty to push myself to play a little bit better. But as you can saw from my previous gameplay of my saves, I've done this game on easy, I've done this game on normal, I've done this game on hard. I've unlocked all the skins and all of the unlockables, including infinite ammo, for the bonus game of the Leech Hunter minigame, in which both Billy and Rebecca re enter the training management training facility to find blue and green leech collectives, respectively. And what do you get for that? Well, I can tell you that the most important thing you get from that is the fact that you get a submachine gun, which later on in later games you can actually get submachine gun ammo in certain places throughout the game. I typically would give the submachine gun to Rebecca because it is such a badass weapon. And the other adage is the fact that you get to explore Magnum. You get I'm sure you recall that 44 Magnum that Billy used to kill the Queen Leech. You can unlock that with infinite ammo. You can get a hunting gun with infinite ammo. You can get handguns. Rebecca's Stars issued M92F and Billy's 45 Colt from the Marines with infinite ammo. But the real prize of all prizes, collectively as a whole, is the infinite ammo for all weapons in the game. But how do you get that? Well, you've got to make it out of there alive with all 50 leeches in each of their inventory, which is a very difficult challenge, I might add, because you only go in so far, and there is no limit. There's no limit to what enemies you will encounter. You will face every enemy there is encounter, and you will have to explore the entire training facility from the basement levels to the upper levels. Every room will be unlocked and available to you, but every room will potentially have enemies in some capacity or another. And some areas, as you progress further along, will have enemies take the place where initially there were no enemies. So you'll have reinforcements. I think the most telling of that is the fact that is when you actually get to the very tail end and you only have the ability to carry one ammo, because the tricky part with the leech hunter minigame is you can only carry 10 leeches per inventory slot. So as you pick up leeches for both Billy and Rebecca, it takes up a slot. You cannot put the leeches down. So if you're carrying, say, a handgun and a shotgun and a healing item, you're going to need to drop shit to pick up those leeches. So there's an added emphasis of stress and precision and strategy that requires you to plan ahead. Do I really want to pick this up? Am I going to need a healing item later? I've only got a handgun. What the hell do I do? So, very fun game, especially if you're a type of person who plays through it. But it's definitely something to explore and experience. If you die, you only collect the leeches that the other player is alive with. So if you get killed with Rebecca, the only leeches that you will end the game with and it will count will be the ones from Billy. So you have to bear that in mind with your play, and you have to take that into account when you go into it. Get out with 10 leeches this time. Okay, fine. Go in, do it again. 20 leeches, and then raise the stack a little bit more as you go through, because each amount of leeches you get unlocks a new bonus for you to purchase. So, excuse me. But all in all, that was a fabulous game. It was a fun game. I only got a rank B, but as you can see, ugh, as you can see, I played 14 times, and I used a few recovery items. Most notably, I think if my memory serves correctly, the only instance where time is really the only time when your rank is really affected is when you use recovery items in the form of first aid sprays, the number of times you save, and then longer and the time you take to complete the game. I think I've gotten an A, maybe, but I don't think I've ever gotten an S rank. But I'm not interested in rankings because rankings don't really get me my prizes. That's where the bonus games are included. So, but very fun game. I'm glad I ran through it. Now I can actually put this in the playlist of Resident Evil live stream. If you haven't seen it, it's on my YouTube as well. So if you want to explore Resident Evil Remake 1, when I did real survival playthrough, you can check that out. I will add this to it so you can check this out as well. And then I think in the future I will either play Resident Evil Code Veronica X or I will play Resident Evil 4 Remake. I haven't really made up my mind yet, but I think I'm going to go with Code Veronica X because I'm in a classic kind of mood. And I am definitely just enjoying going back to my roots as a boy and enjoying this trip down memory lane where I could enjoy a lot of these games in my youth before we had any of the other remakes in circulation in that sense. So, but that is it. That is all I've got. And I'm very glad that I managed to make this label come to a full circle sense with 2 hour windows. I'm pretty sure that this is a 2 hour clip, along with the previous playthroughs of playthrough part two and playthrough part one. So 2 hour, 2 hour, 2 hour, perfect. So, but I think I've talked too much, and I think I've talked enough. So I want to give a big shout out to Melissa and everybody else who has been checking in on me and enjoying the stream, and a few of you that have chopped in. Don't be shy. Say hello. I want to know who it is that's checking me out and making the time. You deserve recognition at the very least that you took the time to come and say hello and see what I'm doing. I am not a competitive streamer. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for views. I just enjoy it. And I like to sort of demonstrate and show, at the very least, give some sort of pointers, if anything, to players who are new to this type of game or any other game for that matter, and get them involved in the game in its respective source. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got. So, I have had a rough weekend, but I am trying to focus myself again despite my emotional turmoil with that. And I'm doing my best to handle it. And while I'm not in a very good headspace right now, I know I will be eventually. And I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to reach out to me on Discord, on Snapchat, um, as well as my other social media platforms of Instagram and Facebook and also YouTube. I'm very appreciative for you all. I'm grateful for your concern and your thoughts and your opinions on the matter because um, it helps me to better understand outside sources and perhaps give me insight to potentially things I could do differently, be it when I'm streaming or when I'm anything that isn't related to streaming. So, but I'm done. That's it. This video's over, and I'm very glad that we can enjoy a new fulcrum of a new exploratory chapter in the Resident Evil universe. One of my favorite franchises, and has been one of my favorite franchises since I was 9 years old, 10 years old. So, um, very appreciative, and hope that you found this video to your liking as well as the rest of the other videos in the stream. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe if you have anything you wish to have in terms of questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Drop them in the comments below. And I will definitely get out there to you in the future for our next playthrough of another game, which hopefully will come to maybe tomorrow or maybe later in the week. I'm not sure. I will have plenty of time on my hands to think of something else. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to, well, obviously, I already took my medication to help me sleep tonight, and I am getting pretty tired. So I will see probably about reading a couple pages of my book, which I don't know if many of you are into that, but basically, this is my book. It is called Divine Magic, and it is a book study of the world of the supernatural. It is written by Andre and Lynette Singer. Um, I have a fascination for everything from cultural studies of that sort, from voodoo, demonology, angels, mythology, such as the Greeks or the Romans, Norse, ancient legends, and Teutonic myth. This is definitely something that I enjoy, and I owe the great, great gratitude of my friend Clifford Bond, who got me this book as a gift, and I'm very appreciative of it. Unfortunately, I haven't really made much in the way of time to really read it and enjoy it. So I'm hoping in the future that will become a common practice for me. Right now, I'm actually reading, if I can see it here, bear with me, The Study of Shamanism, spiritual study of shamanistic practices. So I will try to get about reading a little bit of this. And yeah, I'm hoping that in the future everything will continue to be much to your liking and appeal. So thank you very much for tuning in. This was our live stream of Resident Evil Zero playthrough, And I am Savage Squishy 86, and I will catch you next time on the next live stream of whatever game that may be. And hopefully, still continue to deliver good content that is both entertaining and educational. Thank you very much. I'm signing off for the night. Good night.